Hey yogis, I'm Nicole. Welcome to my yoga time. Today we're practicing a restorative class which will focus on the whole body. It's a great way to undo the day's tension if you're practicing in the evening. It's also a good one to practice if you're not feeling quite 100% or you're feeling quite fatigued. So I've got two blocks for this practice. If you don't have blocks, you can improvise with a thick book or a rolled up towel. We're going to start in a seated position, just placing those hands on the knees and positioning the tip of the tongue where the teeth meet the roof of the mouth. So begin to do some pelvic rocks. Feel free to close the eyes down as you move the body in a circular motion. We'll inhale forward and exhale backwards. Just notice how you're feeling in your hips and your low back. So in this practice, we're gently going to use posture, slow movement, and breath to press away the tension in the body and in the mind. Let's change directions. And coming back to center. Well done. So first posture is going to be pigeon pose. Now if a seated pigeon is not an option for you because of knees or hip ailments, come down onto your back for me. So we'll start with the right leg, right ankle to the left knee. So you might choose to stay here. You have the option to place one block underneath the left foot. Maybe you can take a hold of that left leg. If you are straining through the neck, then place a block or a pillow underneath the head before you collect that foot. For yogis in a seated pigeon, we're going to start with the right leg. And if you've got those two blocks close by, I'll get you to make a T shape with those blocks. So the vertical one is where the chest will lay and the horizontal one for the head. So when you're ready, settling down into the pose, checking the position of your tongue, breathing into your lower back and your outer hip. Where attention goes, energy flows. And start to observe the four parts to your breath. The inhalation and pause, the exhalation and pause. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Can you witness all 3? If you're in a seated pigeon, follow your next inhalation to come out of the pose. If you are reclined, release the leg and bring yourself up to seated. So just take a brief moment to swish those knees from side to side. So coming into a seated wide-legged position. Now if you need to lighten this, you can always use your blocks or rolled up towel underneath those bent knees. Let's press the heels down, try and pull up the kneecaps, engage the quads. Inhale the arms up, and as you exhale, leaning over to your left, 45 degrees, and then back to center. We're going to do that another 2 times. And this third time, coming all the way down, we're going to use our left hand to support the head. You can make a fist with your hand. Of course, if that is a bit of a reach, you can always use your block instead. Your right hand's going to come to the low back. Feel free to connect index finger and thumbs and take a mudra. And just allow the tailbone to slightly tuck here. Breathing into your sideways. And following your next inhalation out of the pose, feel free to help those legs come together. Give them a little squeeze. And we'll practice pigeon on the other side. So if you're reclining, feel free to come down. Otherwise, staying seated. Left leg in front this time. Making your T shape with your blocks. Supporting the chest and the head. Observing the breath, moving the body. Remember the 4 parts to your breath. Following your next inhalation out of the pose. If you're reclined, bringing yourself up to seated. Once again, we'll take those knees from side to side. If you need longer with this motion, take it. Otherwise, moving into your wide-legged seated position. Pressing down through the heels, engaging the quads, pulling up those kneecaps, arms up. As you exhale, leaning over to your right, 45 degrees, and then back to center. Third time, coming all the way down, making a fist with your hand, support your head. Left hand to your low back, avoid the shoulder falling. Keep trying to roll it back. And feeling the breath in the left sideways. The inhalation starting to press those lines of tension. And following your next inhalation out of the pose, hands can help those legs come together. Little rock, a little squeeze. And then we'll come over onto all fours. Finding your puppy pose, so if you need to support the head, you can always use a block underneath. Otherwise, forehead can meet the mat. Arms can extend in front as wide as the mat, or bring the elbows a little closer, hands into prayer above the head. Observe the breath creating space in the upper body. Follow your next inhalation out of the pose. Lifting up into tabletop, and we'll step the right foot through. Coming into a lunge. By all means, feel free to recruit your blocks here. Keeping your left knee on the mat. And ever so slightly, try to squeeze those feet towards one another. A little tone through the left buttock, and keep the heart lifted. From here, let's take those hips back, moving into a half pyramid pose. You might choose to continue to use those blocks, or maybe bring those hands to the floor. Let's keep the heart lifted and try and lift the tailbone as well. You should feel nice activation through those hamstrings. And the void hanging out on this knee joint, do engage the quad, pull up the knee. From here, we'll start to walk those hands back, bring the hips back, and you'll come down to seated. So just wiggling your left foot out to the side, placing the sole of the left foot to meet the right thigh. If you need to support that left knee and hip, block underneath. If you need to support your hamstrings or your back, bend your right knee and place a block under there. Let's inhale those arms up. Turn just a little to the right, and be sure to press the foot into the thigh, thigh into the foot. As you exhale, let's lower down. Then as you inhale, coming back up. Keeping a slight tuck in the chin, neck in line with your spine. And this third time we'll stay down, taking a hold of the leg or the foot wherever you land. If you do have the foot, try to push the foot into the hand, hand into the foot. Create a little resistance there. For the first few breaths, drishti to the big toe. And either staying there or feel free to take the drishti towards the knee. And feeling the breath begin to press those lines of tension along the back side of the body. Pressing down through that right heel, inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, lower hands down. Let's raise this left knee. We'll cross the left leg over the right leg. We'll keep that right leg straight. Create a little bit of resistance between left ankle and the right leg. Of course, you can always elevate the hips here if you're feeling tight through the hips. Left hand behind you, right hand to the knee. Inhale, and as you exhale, begin to twist to your left. So either keeping your hand on the knee, or if you prefer, hook the arm around the elbow, option to take your mudra. Left hand is gently pressing down and away. And let's return to the center. Leaning back, we'll take a brief boat pose. So picking up both of those feet. If this is a little too intense, always one foot at a time is an option. And let's cross those legs, coming forward into tabletop once again. This time stepping your left foot forward, recruiting your blocks, coming into your low lunge. So it's not a yin pose, we're not just hanging out here. I want you to find a little bit of tone, try to drag those feet towards one another. Feel free to firm the right buttock. And moving those hips back now, coming into your pyramid pose, either with or without your blocks. We'll keep the heart lifted. Try and drag that left heel back and lifting tailbone as well. And let's walk those hands back. You can move your right foot just a little to the side so that you can come to sit down. Placing sole of the right foot to the left thigh. Prop the body however you need to. Inhaling, arms up. Turn just a touch to the left and exhale to fold. Inhale to lift. Third time, staying down now. Taking a hold of the leg or the foot. Gently pressing the right foot into the thigh, thigh into the foot. A little resistance between the hands and the foot if you have it. And either maintaining your drishti to the big toe or lowering it towards your knee. Pressing down through that left heel, tone through the navel, inhale to come all the way up. And exhale, hands down. Lifting right knee, let's take our seated twist. So again, resistance between the foot and the leg. Try and press down through that right big toe knuckle as though you're trying to stand up. Right hand behind you, either hold the knee or hook the elbow. Return to the front. We'll take our boat pose one last time, leaning back. And let's cross those legs and release. So coming down into an upper back bend next, you might choose to use two blocks, one under the head, one under the shoulders. I'm just going to use one under the shoulders today. So that will be in line with the shoulder blades. And a couple of choices here, yogis. Depending on how you're feeling in your back, you might choose to keep those knees bent, straighten and relax the legs. Or, final variation, if you'd like to take a half hero pose, bend your right knee and place the foot next to the hip, roll the calf muscle out of the way. If this is not an option for your knee, then just keep the legs straight or bend the knees. We're going to keep this left leg bent. As you recline, lift the hips and try and tuck the tailbone just a little. Lower down until you can find your blocks. And of course, if you need that extra one under the head or the one under the head a little bit higher, do so. Arms out to the side. Option to find your mudra. And just keeping the sole of the left foot on the floor, knee pointing up towards the ceiling. And breathing into the heart center. So if your legs are straight or both knees are bent, just stay where you are for a little longer. Those in half hero, let's change sides. Turn the palms down, tuck the chin in. Bring yourself up to seated. Release that right leg and move to the other side. When you're ready to release the pose, turning the palms down, tucking in the chin, bringing yourself halfway up if you can. Release that left leg if you're in hero. Move your props to the side and let's recline. Taking a hold of the knees and take those knees wide and gently rock from side to side. Here is option one. Option two, come into happy baby pose. Taking a hold of the outside blades of the feet, or if you prefer, you can pistol grip those big toes. And when you're ready, lower those feet down. So from here, we'll move the hips a touch to the left. Cross the left leg over the right leg. We're moving into a twist. Knees come down to the right. Use your block for support. If this is too intense on your hips, uncross the legs. Block in between the thighs instead. Either keeping your head neutral or moving the back of the head a touch to the right and then turning your head to the left. Once again, observing the breath, moving the body. The next inhalation, bring those knees back to center. We'll uncross the legs and change sides. Hips moving over to the right, just a touch. Remember the 4 parts to your breath. On your next inhalation, bringing those knees back to center, uncrossing the legs. We'll move into Savasana, and I encourage you to place a block under each leg, maybe the knee or the thigh. Be sure to tuck the shoulders under. Option to let the fingers naturally curl or find your mudra. And softening the forehead, the tongue and jaw. Begin to inhale a little deeper. And begin to inhale a little deeper as you guide your awareness back. You might like to swallow if the mouth is dry. Run the tongue over the teeth. Feel free to wiggle toes and fingers, follow any urges to move or stretch. When you're ready, rolling to your preferred side. Finding your way up to seated. Thank you, yogis, for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed the class. If so, please do subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support free yoga on YouTube. Have a lovely day.